There was a time in my life when I believed that strength was in words, in arguments, in defending myself against every misunderstanding, every judgment, every noise around me. I thought silence was weakness, that keeping quiet meant surrender. But life has a way of teaching us what no book, no classroom, and no loud conversation ever can. Life teaches us through stillness. And in that stillness, I realized that silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. When everything around you is loud, when people are questioning your worth, when the world is demanding that you explain yourself, you have two choices. You can shout louder, or you can simply choose silence. The truth is, the louder you shout, the more you lose yourself. But the moment you choose silence, you gain something priceless. You gain peace. And in that peace, there is an incredible power. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. Silence means you are wise enough to understand that not every battle is worth fighting. It means you are aware that not every opinion deserves your energy. Silence is not about suppressing your voice. It is about protecting your soul. Because sometimes, the strongest response is not 1,000 words spoken in anger, but one moment of stillness that speaks volumes. Think about the strongest forces in nature. A mountain does not scream to prove its strength. It simply stands tall. The ocean does not need to shout to show its depth. Its silence is enough to tell you how powerful it is. Just like that, when you choose silence, you are not hiding. You are standing tall in your own truth, deep in your own existence. There is a quiet dignity in silence. It teaches you self-control. It teaches you patience. It teaches you that storms will pass, that pain will soften, that misunderstandings will clear, all without you having to waste your energy proving yourself. People may misjudge you. They may misunderstand you. They may even call your silence a weakness. But remember, their words are just noise. And noise fades. Your silence will remain. In silence, you learn to listen. You listen not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to hear your own heartbeat, your own thoughts, your own inner voice that has been drowned by the world's chaos. That inner voice reminds you of who you are. It tells you that you don't need to run after validation. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. Everything will come to you when it is meant to. And until then, silence is your shield. There will be moments in life when you feel like speaking up, when you feel like defending yourself, when you feel like proving your worth. But before you do, pause. Ask yourself, will this bring peace or will this bring noise? More often than not, the answer is silence, because silence is not about avoiding people. It is about choosing yourself over unnecessary battles. It is about protecting your heart from wounds that words can never heal. And slowly, you realize that silence is not empty. Silence is full of wisdom, full of strength, full of answers that words cannot provide. It is in silence that you discover your resilience. It is in silence that you grow. And when the right time comes, when life is ready to unfold its blessings, you will see that everything you were waiting for, everything you desired, will come naturally to you, without noise, without struggle, without you having to prove anything to anyone. So, never underestimate the power of silence. It is not weakness. It is the language of strength, the song of patience, and the foundation of peace. When you embrace silence, something beautiful begins to happen. You start to hear yourself. For so long, many of us have been listening to the noise of the world, the expectations, the comparisons, the judgments, and the endless demands. We get so caught up in what others think of us, in what society tells us we should be, that we forget to ask a simple question. What do I truly want? And the answer to that question does not come from the outside world. It comes from within. But to hear it, you must first be still. The inner voice is gentle. It does not shout. It does not compete with the chaos around you. It waits patiently for you to turn down the volume of the world so you can finally listen. And when you do, you realize that your inner voice always knew the way. That voice is the compass you were born with. It is the map you carry inside your soul. The more you ignore it, the more lost you feel. The more you listen, the more natural life becomes. Have you noticed that whenever you go against your intuition, you feel restless, uneasy, as if something inside you is unsettled? That is your inner voice reminding you, this is not your path. And when you follow it, there is peace. Even if the road is hard, even if people don't understand, even if you are walking alone, there is peace. Because you are being true to yourself. And peace is the sign that you are aligned with where you are meant to be. The world teaches us to seek advice, to compare journeys, to follow the footsteps of those who came before us. But your journey is yours alone. No one else has walked in your shoes. No one else has felt the weight of your heart. No one else has lived your pain or your joy. So how can anyone else tell you who you are meant to be? That is why silence is so powerful. It clears the noise so you can finally hear your truth. When you listen to that voice within, you stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop begging doors to open that were always meant to stay closed. You stop exhausting yourself by running after validation that was never yours to begin with. Instead, you begin to trust that what belongs to you will find its way to you. You begin to understand that everything you need is already within you. And here lies the real beauty. When you listen inward, you realize that life does not have to be forced. You don't have to push so hard. You don't have to rush. You don't have to prove. You only have to align. Align your actions with your truth. Align your dreams with your soul. Align your steps with your inner compass. And once you do, everything begins to come naturally. But listening within requires courage. Because sometimes, money, your inner voice, will ask you to take paths others don't understand. It may ask you to let go of what you once thought defined you. It may ask you to walk away from comfort, from people, from places that no longer serve your growth. And in those moments, silence is your companion. It gives you the strength to walk away without explanation, without argument, without noise. So, when the world gets too loud, take a step back, sit in silence. Close your eyes, breathe, and listen. The answers you seek are already inside you. The guidance you long for is already there. The voice within is soft, but it is steady. It does not waver. It does not confuse. It leads you home to yourself. And once you learn to trust it, you will never be lost again. Because no matter where life takes you, you will carry your compass within, guiding you gently toward what is meant for you. And when the time is right, you will see. Everything you longed for will come, not through struggle, not through noise, but through the natural flow of listening to your own heart. When you begin to listen to your inner voice, you also begin to realize that life has its own rhythm. It does not move according to our impatience, our deadlines, or our desperate need for instant answers. Life moves in its own perfect timing. And this is where patience becomes our greatest teacher. Because in silence and stillness, patience shows us that what we cannot see today will become clear tomorrow. So often, we want everything right now. We want answers immediately. We want results instantly. We want the pain to end quickly, the doors to open fast, the dreams to unfold without delay. But what we forget is that rushing never brings clarity. It only brings confusion. The more we push, the more we force, the more restless we become. Yet, when we pause, when we allow time to do its work, things begin to align naturally. Think of a muddy river. When the water is stirred, it becomes cloudy, and you cannot see anything beneath the surface. But if you simply wait, if you allow it to rest, the mud settles, and the water becomes clear. Our lives are exactly the same. When we rush, when we panic, when we try to control everything, our vision becomes clouded. But when we are patient, the truth reveals itself. The clarity we long for arrives, not because we searched harder, but because we waited long enough for things to settle. Patience is not about doing nothing. It is about trusting that your efforts, your prayers, your resilience are already planting seeds. And seeds do not grow by pulling at them. They grow by giving them time, by allowing them to break through the darkness of the soil, by letting them rise when the season is right. You don't stand over a seed and scream at it to grow. You trust the process. The same is true for your life. There are moments when you will feel like giving up because nothing seems to be moving. You will wonder why the doors are closed, why the answers are delayed, why your efforts feel invisible. But remember, delays are not denials. Sometimes, the very thing you are asking for is not ready for you, or perhaps you are not yet ready for it. Patience prepares you. It molds you quietly. It shapes your strength. It softens your heart. It deepens your wisdom. And one day, you look back and realize that if you had received what you wanted earlier, you would not have been able to handle it. Patience also protects you. Sometimes the things you think you want are not what you truly need. Sometimes rushing into an answer can lead you away from your path. But patience clears the fog. It allows you to see what is real, what is worth waiting for, what is truly meant for you. And when you finally see it, you understand why it took so long. Because clarity is not cheap. It is earned through the quiet strength of waiting. So, when life feels slow, when the answers do not come, when you are sitting in the silence of waiting, Do not despair. Instead, remind yourself patience is not wasting time. Patience is investing in the right time. Every pause is purposeful. Every delay has meaning. And every moment of waiting is shaping you for what is to come. When you live with patience, you stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop exhausting yourself in the pursuit of what is not yet yours. Instead, you rest in the knowing that what belongs to you will arrive. And when it arrives, it will not come with confusion, but with absolute clarity. That is the gift of patience. It brings light where there was once darkness, answers where there were once questions, and peace where there was once restlessness. And in that peace, you discover the truth. Everything will come to you naturally when the time is right. Growth is one of the most beautiful mysteries of life, and yet it rarely happens in noise. It does not happen in the spotlight. It does not happen in constant movement. And it does not happen when you are busy proving yourself to the world. Real growth happens in silence, in stillness, in moments where no one is watching and no one is clapping. Think about a seed buried deep in the soil. For days, weeks, sometimes months, there is no sign of life on the surface. If you look at it from the outside, it appears as if nothing is happening. But in that silence, in that darkness, the seed is breaking, expanding, and preparing itself to push through the soil. The moment you finally see a sprout, you realize that growth had been happening all along, just where the eyes could not see. Our lives are no different. The greatest transformations happen quietly. Healing does not announce itself. Strength does not come with noise. Wisdom does not arrive overnight with fanfare. They all grow within us silently, in the moments when we are alone, in the nights when we cry ourselves to sleep, in the mornings when we choose to rise again, despite the weight of yesterday. These silent moments are where the roots of resilience are planted. We live in a world that glorifies visibility. Everyone wants their progress to be noticed, their achievements to be applauded, their efforts to be validated. But true growth does not need an audience. True growth is when you evolve even when nobody acknowledges it. It is when you become stronger, wiser, kinder, not because the world is watching, but because your soul is stretching toward light. Sometimes you may feel invisible, as though nothing is changing, as though your efforts are wasted. But just like that seed, you are transforming quietly in ways you cannot yet see. Your struggles are building character. Your patience is deepening wisdom. Your silence is shaping strength. And one day, without even realizing it, you will bloom into the person you were always meant to be. The beauty of silent growth is that it surprises even you. One day you look back at the storms you thought would break you, and you realize you are still standing. One day you remember the moments you thought you would never heal from, and you notice your scars have become stories of resilience. One day you recognize that the version of you who doubted, who feared, who stumbled, is no longer the version that stands here today. And you realize growth has been happening quietly all along, preparing you for the life ahead. The world may not see your silent growth, but you will feel it. You will feel it in the way you respond with calm instead of anger. You will feel it in the way you choose peace instead of chaos. You will feel it in the way you trust instead of forcing. This is growth. Quiet, steady, powerful. And here is the beauty. Silent growth always leads to natural unfolding. Just as the seed eventually pushes through the soil, your growth will eventually reveal itself to the world. You will not need to announce it. You will not need to prove it. Your life will simply reflect it. So, do not be discouraged by the silence of your journey. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. Do not believe that nothing is happening. The truth is, everything is happening. It is just happening quietly, beneath the surface of your soul, where real transformation begins. And when the time is right, your growth will speak for itself, without noise, without effort, without explanation. Because everything that grows in silence blooms, naturally, in its own season, in its own beauty. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to detach from the noise around us. The world is loud, filled with endless opinions, constant comparisons, and voices that tell you who you should be, how you should live, and what success should look like. If you are not careful, this noise begins to drown out your own truth. You start to carry the weight of other people's expectations. You begin to chase dreams that don't belong to you. And slowly, you lose sight of your own path. But silence teaches us something powerful: detachment. It shows us how to step away from the chaos, how to rise above the opinions, and how to return to ourselves. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you shut yourself off from the world. It means you no longer let the noise dictate your worth, your choices, or your direction. The truth is, people will always have something to say. They will question your decisions. They will criticize your choices. They will misunderstand your silence. If you try to respond to every voice, if you try to prove yourself to everyone, you will exhaust your soul. But when you learn detachment, you realize you don't need to attend every argument. You don't need to fight every battle, and you don't need to justify your journey. Detachment gives you freedom. Freedom from the need to please. Freedom from the weight of judgment. Freedom from the endless noise of comparison. It allows you to live in peace, knowing that your life does not have to be explained and your choices do not need approval. Your journey is yours alone, and the opinions of others are simply echoes that fade with time. Sometimes, the noise does not only come from the outside. Sometimes, the loudest noise is within us. The doubts, the fears, the voices that tell us we are not enough. Detachment teaches us to step away from that noise too. To observe those thoughts without letting them control us. To remind ourselves that we are not our fears, we are not our doubts, and we are not the stories we tell ourselves when we are tired. In silence, we learn to detach from the noise inside and return to the truth of who we are. Detachment also teaches us balance. It shows us that we don't have to react to everything. We don't have to respond to every situation immediately. We don't have to carry every burden. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to let go. To let go of the urge to control, to let go of the desire to be understood, to let go of the constant need for validation. In that letting go, you create space for peace. And in that peace, you begin to see life more clearly. When you detach from noise, you begin to move differently. You no longer rush to prove your worth. You no longer fear missing out. You no longer measure yourself against someone else's journey. Instead, you walk with quiet confidence, knowing that everything meant for you will arrive in its own time. You stop running after things, and you begin to attract them, naturally, effortlessly, silently. So, let the world speak. Let it judge. Let it misunderstand. Let it create its noise. None of it can shake the foundation you build in silence. Because once you detach from the noise, you become untouchable. You live in your own rhythm, you breathe in your own peace, and you trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. And in that trust, you discover the truth. When you stop chasing the noise, life itself becomes quieter, lighter, and more beautiful. And everything you once longed for finds its way to you. Not through struggle, not through noise, but naturally, in the stillness of your silence. Silence not only teaches us patience and detachment, it also gives us the courage to trust in something greater than ourselves. Divine timing. Because no matter how much we plan, no matter how much we try to control, life has a way of unfolding exactly as it should, when it should. And the more we fight against this timing, the more restless we become. But the moment we surrender, the moment we trust, peace enters our lives. There is a time for everything. Though we often forget this truth, there is a time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to begin and a time to let go. A time to wait and a time to receive. When we trust in divine timing, we stop demanding that life give us what we want right now. And we begin to believe that life will give us what we need exactly when we are ready for it. Think of the sun and the moon. They do not rise and set according to our wishes. They follow their own rhythm, their own timing, and yet their timing is always perfect. In the same way, your life has its own rhythm. Just because something has not happened yet does not mean it will never happen. It simply means that the season is not here. And when the season does arrive, it will come with such beauty, such alignment, that you will understand why you had to wait. Trusting divine timing also means understanding that delays are not punishments. They are protection. Sometimes what you desire is not ready for you. Sometimes you are not ready for it. And sometimes what you think you want is far smaller than what life has planned for you. The silence, the waiting, the uncertainty, they are not empty. They are preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. But trust requires faith. Faith that what is meant for you will never pass you by. Faith that even in the silence, even in the waiting, something is working in your favor. Faith that even when doors close, it is not the end, but a redirection. Every pause, every delay, every detour carries wisdom. And one day, when you look back, you will see how all the pieces fit together in a way you could never have planned. The truth is, life is not a race. It is not about being first, or fastest, or loudest. It is about arriving at the right place, at the right time, with the right heart. And only divine timing can make that possible. When you trust this, you no longer chase desperately. You no longer fear missing out. You no longer compare your journey to others. You rest in the knowing that your time will come, and when it does, it will be undeniable. Silence gives you this strength. It teaches you to wait with dignity, to trust without panic, to believe without demanding proof. And slowly, you begin to realize that life is not something to be forced. Life is something to be embraced, one moment at a time. So, if you find yourself in a season of waiting, do not lose hope. Do not mistake silence for absence. Do not confuse delay with denial. Trust that everything is aligning. Trust that your story is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust that when the right time comes, everything you prayed for, everything you dreamed of, everything you quietly held on to in your heart will come to you. Naturally, effortlessly, beautifully. And when it does, you will understand why silence was never empty. It was full of answers, full of growth, full of preparation. It was life's way of telling you, be still, be patient, be faithful. Your time is coming.